Alright, this video is going to be on the stages of change model and the coming financial collapse that we're going to have. Now, let's look at the concept of addiction and our monetary policies in America. Now, Peter Schiff came out about maybe 2-3 months ago, I'm not quite sure, because I watched it on YouTube, and he simply said, quantitative easing is like financial heroin. Now, quantitative easing is not something everybody can do, so I actually agree with him to some extent that, quantitative easing is a bit like heroin. But if we look at money, we don't want to equate money as a drug, because people need it every day. Now, heroin, or quantitative easing, heroin's not something you need to live. A person can go their entire life without having heroin or taking heroin, and you can live just fine. Now, money is something you need pretty much on a daily basis. This roof that I have over my head costs money. The food that I eat, the coffee I drink, it costs money. So money as an addiction would work best if we describe it as food. Food is something you need every day. You need it at a certain quantity to live, and the same thing with money. So I'm going to take the idea that money and addiction have a little bit of similarities. So what I want to do is talk about people in the financial addiction, and I'm going to kind of describe a class that I did when I taught people with mental illness, the stages of change, which is how you make a change in your life. These are the steps in the process that everybody goes through in order to make any type of change in your life. Now, this comes out of the addiction field, and I went to Portland Community College to learn drug and alcohol counseling. Now, the stages of change model, there's really about 5 or 6 steps. Now, the first step, now I'm going to describe this kind of economically, about economics, but also addiction, food addiction. So the first step is your eyes are closed. Now, this is called pre-contemplation. Now, pre-contemplation speak means that, hey, there is no problem. I'm not a drug addict. I just use drugs, or I just use things recreationally. I can control my using. I'm not an alcoholic. I just like to party. There is no economic collapse. There is no financial problem. There is no monetary problem in America. Hey, everything's getting better. Everything's just fine. That's, your eyes are closed. You're in a state of pre-contemplation. Pre-contemplation doesn't mean there is no problem. It means the problem is somewhere out there, and you can't see it because you're blind to it because you believe there is no problem. So that means your eyes are closed. Whether you party too much or not, it doesn't really matter because in your mind everything's fine. So the next step is eyes are open. So that's contemplation. So you have pre-contemplation. Then you have contemplation, so your eyes are closed, then your eyes are open. Now, just because your eyes are open doesn't mean you do anything. Okay, a contemplation speak would be, yeah, maybe I drink too much. Yeah, maybe there is a financial problem. Yeah, maybe America has a debt problem. Yeah, maybe I should do something about it. Maybe I should buy some silver. Maybe I should buy some preps. But then they go back and, do whatever they were doing before. Maybe I should exercise. Maybe I'm getting a little too, maybe there is a problem. Okay, so their eyes are open, but they like what it is they're doing. They like their pizza, so they're not going to go to the gym, or they're not going to eat healthier. They're not going to do the next step. And the next step is preparation. Now, when people think preparation, they think, getting all this stuff together. But in the stages of change model, preparation is getting your tool belt. Now, getting your tool belt is your information. This is where you listen to like the Silvertown Vaultcast. This is where you listen to USA Watchdog, X22 Report. Mike Maloney has like 4 videos on money and how money's created. So there's some really good stuff on YouTube that prepares you to make a change mentally to live slightly different. Okay, so first, you're asleep, then your eyes are open, then you get your tool belt, and then of course you take action, and then after action there's maintenance. Okay, so once we get our tool belt, then we go out and we buy some extra food, some rice, some gold, some silver, maybe some firearms, some ammo, and then we go, ooh, when's this bad thing going to happen? Okay, so what we can do by simply understanding the stages of change is we can understand where everybody is in their preparedness for an America that's different than it is today, where, yeah, maybe there's not food on the grocery store shelves, or maybe we need to farm, maybe we need to just live our lives differently, maybe the gas station doesn't have gas. Okay, this is kind of what we're talking about, but right now there is food in the store, there is gas in the gas station, and everybody's living the way they're living it, and nobody thinks it's going to change. So people who are, they call them preppers, which these are people taking action to possibly live a different way in America. Everybody's in a state of the stages of change when it comes to what's going on in our country's financial collapse, more or less, from a transition from a monetary fiat currency to whatever the new system is, and nobody knows yet what that is. So we simply have to understand where other people are within the stages of change. Now, in the addictions field, for people to get better, they simply have to hit bottom. Now, hitting bottom in the addictions field sometimes is a police officer knocks on somebody's door and says, "Hey, is your name so-and-so? You were involved in a hit and run yesterday, and I'm going to take you to jail." Then maybe somebody says, "Oh, maybe I am an alcoholic. Maybe I better get to a meeting." Somebody could look at themselves in the mirror and say, "Wow, I look like I'm about to die. Maybe I need to get to a meeting, or else I'm dead." So in the drug and alcohol field, or in the addictions field, especially if you go to NA, now I studied to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and when I went to the AA meetings or NA meetings, I was getting paid. It was my job to be there. So when you go to an NA meeting, they simply say you have prisons, institutions, or death to look forward to if you stay in your addicted mind. So when we think about economics, we're not always thinking about addiction, but there's some similarities in the sense that everybody's in one of the stages of change. If nobody has a problem with their economy, our economy's fine, well, they're in pre-contemplation. If they say, yeah, there is a problem, but what can I do about it? They're in contemplation. If they're saying, wow, I need more information, I'm listening to Mike Maloney or the Silvertown, or if you're listening to USA Watchdog and you go, wow, there's a huge problem, and they're taking in the information. Now they're receptive. Okay, the people on Silvertown or the people on USA Watchdog, what they're doing is they're raising their bottom. When you raise somebody's bottom, you're basically not waiting until you're passed out on the floor in your own filth before you get to a meeting, or you don't wait until there is no food in the stores to buy a couple bags of rice. This is what we're talking about. So there is a little bit of similarities in the sense that everybody's in the stages of change when it comes to our economics, whether it's getting fit, whether it's exercising, whether it's eating better, whether it's not doing drugs or alcohol, whatever it is, you're in the stages of change always for many different things. And the stages of change model allows us to look at people who simply don't have a problem. Our economy's just fine. There's not a problem out there, even though people who are in the know simply have lists and lists of things that we can say, hey, well, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong, but they can't hear you because in their minds nothing's wrong. So for those people to wake up, what's going to need to happen is we're going to need to have a bank holiday. Once that bank holiday happens, people are going to go, whoa, holy moly, my buddy who talks about, all this stuff, maybe he's right. Holy smokes. And maybe that's a bottom for them. Maybe a bank holiday is their bottom. If the bank holiday is not their bottom, maybe it'll be the bank bail-ins. Maybe it'll be when the government confiscates 401ks and uses it to, buy 10-year bonds. There's 3, 4, or 5 mini collapses before the big dollar collapse that's coming. And if somebody doesn't hit their bottom before the store shelves run dry and everybody's, looting and rioting on the streets, to be honest, I think those people are going to live in Camp FEMA. and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. I really think that that is their options. If you have no options, the worst option is your only option. So that's why it's important to prep, but to understand a little bit more about where people are. We simply need to understand where people are in this addiction of money, fiat currency, and ease. I mean, to be honest, hey, I have a bank account. You know, I'm an average person as well, but I'd like to let other people know tools to communicate with other people within a system that is very sick. Our monetary system is very, very sick, and you know, Peter Schiff is right to some extent that yes, our system is, you know, it's sick as a drug addict or a person who's addicted to food. I mean, so, all right, that is my take on where people are in the economic collapse, as well as a little bit of an understanding of the stages of change model. Go ahead and comment and like this video. Thanks.